Today in Washington, President Trump's nominee to lead NOAA testified before U.S. senators. In that hearing, U.S. Senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, talked about response to these Texas storms.
One question we will certainly be asking in Texas, and we ought to be asking across the country, is how can we improve the speed and rate of response that when an extreme weather warning goes out? In Texas, the National Weather Service put out one at just after 1 a.m. and another just after 4 a.m. But the problem is most people are asleep at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. So those little girls never heard the warning. And so there are discussions about all sorts of steps we can take, including setting up sirens and warning systems along the Guadalupe River Valley, which I think makes an awful lot of sense. But we ought to be asking what lessons can be learned and what can be done more effectively to protect human life.
As you just heard there, clear communication during flooding and other disasters is in the forefront in our nation's capital and, of course, back here in Texas. For our guest today, this is something she has been researching for years. This afternoon, we are joined by University of Texas professor Carrie Stevens. She studies this issue very closely and has even worked on it with several different communities across Texas. Professor, welcome and thanks for being with us. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So as we just heard, and we've been listening from state leaders here in the last few days, there are lots of calls right now to possibly add more public warning systems like sirens to alert people to flood threats in particular. What do you think of that emerging as a possible solution from this disaster?
Well, I do really hope that we investigate solutions, and ways to alert and warn people like sirens are one of those. Now, there is some research out there on this. It really discusses both the advantages and the disadvantages. So things like, how far can people hear the sirens, especially in hills? And then also, what's the cost to maintain and operate these over time? Those are all really important things to consider. But I think we also have to remember that the technology is only one part of the solution. We also have human behavior that's involved.
And we just heard from the governor not too long ago that a flood warning system will be a part of the special session agenda when the lawmakers return later this month. But what do you see as the biggest challenges of implementing something like a siren system for different severe weather threats?
Well, I think the key is that there need to be multiple ways to reach people with alerts and warnings. So sirens in particular can be either loud noises, people either understand those noises or don't. They can also be spoken word if they're close enough up. All of those are going to be important, but we've got to combine them with things that aren't digital, because there are going to be times that cell towers go down and power goes out. Good old-fashioned going door to door when you have the time, and I know not all events you do, but that's even one way that we can alert people.
You touched on it there just a moment ago, but it is difficult to get people's attention when there are weather warnings and alerts. We, of course, are very familiar with that here at KXAN when severe weather strikes. But what has your research shown are the most effective ways to try to reach people and connect with them and share this information?
Well, I've studied what it takes to raise a sense of urgency when you alert people. And the key thing that I've found there is that it takes more than one message, and it takes more than one message through a different channel. So we're back to this idea of we've got to use multiple ways to try to reach people, because that cell phone alert might not go off, people might not see it, or that siren might not be heard for various reasons. So we have a lot of different ways that we can reach people, even social media. A lot of local communities still use Facebook and Instagram as a way to reach people. Of course, our text messages that we get. And then we have national push alerts, as well as kind of local opt-in systems where we give them our phone number and we choose to get those alerts.
Well, this is only the beginning of these conversations that are to come, but Carrie Stevens with UT Austin, we appreciate you very, very much for taking the time to talk to us, and I hope we'll have you back soon to continue these talks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks again.